Hey everyone, welcome to CresTV, your regular roundup of all things UC, video collaboration, AV, the industry, and all that good stuff. I'm Neil Fluester, Director of Technical Marketing here at Crestron, and it's my pleasure to bring another guest from the industry with some great insights of what is going on. Let's cross over to, this is going to be weird for your ears and your eyes, because we're going to cross over to Cupertino in California to Olly. Olly, are you there?
I am here. How's it going, Neil? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. Olly Henderson from Jabra. Jabra or Jabra? Can we get that out of the way first of all?
Well, to your point at the start of the call, I'm a Geordie boy
I
from
was going to
Newcastle
say,
in England, so it's going to be Jabra, right?
going to be
I think
Jabra.
if you're from London, it's Jabra.
Jabra. Some people in the office are calling it Jabra, and I'm like, like tomato,
Yeah.
Jabra, Jabra. Olly, tell us all what you do there at Jabra. Jabra.
Yeah. So at Jabra, I'm head of technical solutions here for North America. Been in the industry around 20 years, Neil. In the UK, had my own integration firms. And then around 2015, 16, had the opportunity to come to the US, something that I jumped on with both hands and spent another 5 years with a global integrator working out of the New York metro area, leading their team's Zoom and Google practice, building that from the ground up, which was great because, you know, that integrator space gives you so much knowledge, right? You know where the bodies are buried, the low-hanging fruits are, you know what a good install looks like, you learn to get X-ray vision and see through walls and understand, you know, where cables are going to go and all that fun stuff. And that's where I really started my great intimacy. I used to use Crestron in my residential install business, but I got my great intimacy with Crestron commercial when I was working with that global integrator, because most of the rooms at that moment in time were powered by Cisco video, and they were run with Crestron in the background before the great move to Teams and Zoom occurred.
Yeah.
And it was at that point that I started first using the Flex systems. So that was great. Another couple of years went by, was with another video manufacturer in the industry as well. And then in June of last year, came to Jabra, great meeting with Kelly Nagel at Infocom. She, as they say, made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I've come on board primarily to build out a pre-sales technical consulting team in North America. I don't think it's any secret that Jabra has a wonderful audio heritage and is relatively new to video in the greater plan of life. With 150 years of audio, 3 years is still new in video. And brought on board a couple of my ex-colleagues, Eric Taylor and Rob Houston, to my team, and a guy from the community that I became very friendly with, Michael Tressler, who I know you know,
Yeah.
bit of a Microsoft ninja. And yeah, so we are the
Dream
they're the
team.
three musketeers, and
Three
I'm
musketeer
a
dream,
bit of
dream
overhead
team.
that helps them out.
Fantastic. I mean, there's some interesting points there just to pull out. Again, everyone knows Jabra headsets, and the video piece was kind of quite new. It was by acquisition, wasn't it? I think that that
So
Jabra got that. We talked to Aaron
yeah,
Zeb last year on the show, and again he talked through that.
that's right. Yeah, so we acquired Altair Systems, and that was our first. Even though Altair had been creating revolutionary AI edge-enabled video products, that it was the first time they were commercialized and the first time we had a video offering. So it was very exciting. That was around 3 years ago. The product portfolio has grown. It started off with the original Panacast, which was the one with the full 180-degree field of view. And then since then, we've launched the P50, which we work very closely and we're delighted with our partnership with Crestron as part of the Flex offering. And then we also have the P20, which I'm speaking to you on now, our 4K personal camera, you know, which is really, again, focusing with the technology on the device. And I think this is where the guys, when they invented or created most of these products, that was their mantra, right? What can we keep on the device to make sure that the device is doing most of the work and your laptop or your computer or your MTR isn't doing most of the work, freeing up that capacity for other areas.
It's a really good point, because you see, yeah, it's got better, but you know, back in the day, it was like, you know, oh, my laptop's having a go slow, or you know, don't turn the video off because you know, the audio is going to be the important thing. But you know, again, offloading that processing and having that hardware encoder or at least video acceleration on the camera device itself is a huge thing. Especially when you're doing stuff like live streaming or recording, and you're doing your emails, and you're doing your Teams, and you're doing your everything else at the same time. The ability to have that quality and offloading that is a real boon for the processor on the laptop to then do
I
other
think
stuff.
I think we all know Teams on the desktop, right, on your laptop is very intensive on resources for you.
It's a great application. We love Teams.
I adore Teams.
we love it.
Teams.
But yes, it's a busy application.
It's a heavy lift. All of the things it's trying to do. It's living end to end in its environment.
Yep.
And I think that segues really nicely into a regular conversation I have, which I know Crestron also have, where we're coaching clients, being the trusted advisor, and then the BYOD versus native room conversation comes up. And this is one of the big issues with BYOD, that no matter how wonderful your system is or how great the hardware in the room is, if you've got a P50 with a Crestron Flex system and then the end user comes and plugs in the BYOD element of it, if they've got 95 spreadsheets open, they're downloading a couple of podcasts in the background, they've got the recipe that they're cooking tonight frozen on a YouTube video in the background, and then they try and launch.
My laptop.
Yeah, it's everyone's laptop, really. So that's the interesting part. It takes you lose a certainty. You lose that when you've got a native room, it's dedicated and designed to what it's doing. And BYOD, even though those users might be much more comfortable with that workflow from Teams desktop or Zoom desktop or WebEx desktop, whatever it might be, the platform they're looking to communicate on, it's a little bit more intensive on the system, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there obviously is one of the unique things that Crestron and Jabra bring to market is our BX custom MTR, and the fact that you can have that full fat Teams experience, come in, click join, you get a full experience, but you can then have the BID as well. You can click that button and then we bring the USB to the table, USB-C. With audio, video, and with 65 watts of power as well to the laptop. So again, I don't know if anyone else is doing a Windows-based MTR that can do that. And again, the Jabra and the Crestron bundle that we put together is hugely unique. Again, there are other kind of Android bars that offer that kind of device mode capability, but the challenge with that is you don't get the full fat. You don't get my mind's got front row. You don't get things like front row because that's not on Android yet. You don't get some of the other features that aren't coming to Android. Windows does seem to be the kind of feature first platform, and again, the benefit of having that Panicast 50 and the Flex together gives the customers that option of, well, I can be 99% in my Teams, but that one call on Friday that I've got to make via Google, whatever it's called these days, Meet, Hangouts, whatever it's called. I don't
Changes
know.
month to month.
Yeah, or WebEx or Zoom or insert collaboration platform here. You can do that. You can bring your laptop in and just use it and use the Panicast through that. So yeah, I love that feature and that capability. And I don't think enough people.
Hey, it's a good point that you touch on, though, Neil. Yeah. This is the how do you solve for the 2%?
Yeah.
As I say, those other meetings. And while I absolutely love, and when I was in my integrator days, that was my go-to spec. The excuse me, is it CX100?
It depends on which flavor you're looking at.
It was
Because
something like that back
the
in my
X
day
is
when I
generally
was
the one.
integrating them.
Yeah.
And it just gave you that get out of jail free card. But that doesn't mean to say that as an organization, when I put my solution architect hat on and I'm trying to coach an organization into best practice and best workflows, that you should try your very best to remain in the majority most of the time. So if you go down a Teams path, go down a Teams path, go down a Zoom path, and sometimes it's a non-technical answer to the issue. You have to speak to, Alexandra in accounting, who has her one meeting on Blue Jeans on a Friday, and say, maybe it's easier for everyone if you speak to your partner and we change that to a Teams meeting. Is that possible? And sometimes the non-technical answer can give the best technical outcome.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that is a real hidden feature as well. So again, if you're watching this in Jabra, or if you're watching it in Crestron or anywhere else, maybe you're watching it in a competitor, we have that capability between our two organizations to have that full team's experience with BYD. Cake and eat it. And if you don't know about it, check it out. Go and speak to Ollie, go speak to me, and we'll tell you all about it, because I think we need to
Certainly will.
shout that from the rooftops. The other interesting one that we announced recently is this whole kind of wireless sharing of a Panacast as well with our Air Media solution. And again, I don't know how many people in Jabra or Crestron or again out there in the internet know about this. So again, a great capability of being able to, I mean, again, Panacast is great. P50, if you just want to put it into a small kind of room, huddle room, but you've got to run a USB cable to the table. You've got to run an HDMI cable for your screen. You've got to have laptop power. You've got to then obviously have your laptop set up and running for that. The ability to do that wirelessly, again, I think is a huge benefit of Crestron and Jabra coming together as a better together solution.
Well, I think to answer your point, it's about ease of enablement, right? So how many client buildings have you walked around, Neil, in your lifetime where there's been like a really good, perfectly feasible 65-inch monitor on the wall that was used for a bit of maybe corporate videos or something like that, and then that area has kind of become a meeting space, an informal meeting space where people can chat internal stakeholders over coffee, and you don't necessarily want to go to the pain and hassle of fully integrating a system because you might not have cable drops and all of the above. With Air Media and P50, you could literally put the P50 underneath the screen, utilize the existing power that's there.
Yep.
Air Media, I believe, is PoE if required, or external power supply.
Yep.
So you're taking everything drops behind the TV. Your P50 goes underneath. You're up and running in an area where maybe you have got beautiful tiled floors, or
there's a stamp on the floor and you find concrete and you're just like, how are we going to run cables under that?
So it's a really nice solution. It's very slick. I know that Air Media is the OG, if you like. There's a lot of pretenders to that throne, but I was integrating Air Media all the way back in, I think, 2014, 2015. Yeah. So, it's a tried and tested product, something that we're really excited about as well. But architecturally speaking, for those people that are speaking to facilities and other building people in their client organizations, Air Media is, again, a wonderful, I don't want to just brand it as this, but it's a get out of jail free card. We need video up on that wall. We've got no extra power, no way to run cables. Great. This is going to do that for you.
Yeah, perfect. Now, we were talking in the kind of, I'll say green room. It wasn't really a green room, but we were chatting before I pressed record about the kind of state of the industry and kind of what went on last year. I mean, I feel that we've kind of done, or the world has been done to death of, hybrid work, return to work, are we in or out, shaking it all about. I know, so be all these bloody podcasts about, return to work is the future. Where do you sit on this? Again, I know that some of the vendors are having challenging times at the moment with regards to, cash flow and products at the moment. What are you seeing at Jabra? Where is the market going, and where are the customers going with the customers that you're talking to?
I think what we're seeing at Jabra, I'm not gonna rail it in that type. My lens is always very wide and cast very wide. So lucky I've got lots of buddies like you in the industry, and we all talk and we all get on and we all work for competitors in the same space. So my straw poll is always what I'm hearing from a large variety of sources. And the fact of the matter is there's still a high level of instability out there in the marketplace. People are still very nervous. Speaking specifically to the North America market, it's very hard to get people to come back into the office full time. It started off at, you're coming back in.
They've had that taste of honey of working from home, and it's like, I like this.
This is great. I've got my pajamas on. I've got my favorite coffee. I've walked the dog this morning, and I don't have to pay for dog sitters and stuff like that. All that stuff. God forbid before we get started on children. They're very expensive, and it's been so many positives, right? So many positives to people's work-life balance. But we all have to remember that we are all employees. We do work for good businesses that are working hard in tight economic times. So it's the quid pro quo, right? It's the where do we get to. Now, my honest opinion on this is I'm not going to talk about hybrid work. I'm not going to talk about return to work. I'm going to talk about how I see it and where I see the market moving. And I think we're there.
Yeah.
I think most of us will continue to work from home. I think when we come into the office, so I'm in the office, I like the office, but I'm also, footloose, fancy-free single guy that is able to be in control of all of my own timetable and destiny in my working week. I'm in a luxurious position. People have families and stuff, right? So that comes into the equation. But I love coming into the office. I feel that water cooler chat, the coffee machine chat is invaluable. The little nuggets that you learn, that social equity that you're getting. So I see it playing out, Neil, as most people coming back into the office maybe once a week. Maybe it's once every 2 weeks, or a couple of days every 2 weeks. But when they come in, they want the experience to be seamless. That's the key, right? I think swathes of real estate will be cut from the market, like the commercial market, full stop. But when you have a client, or when I speak to clients, they want really great meeting experiences in their offices. They're going to re-engineer their offices. They want that single button to join in Teams and the P50 to give that equitable experience. They want that flex system where you can have the BYOD to get you out of jail when it's needed. So I think the quality of meeting room experience is going to go through the roof. I think we're also going to see lots of smaller meeting rooms. Personally, yes, you're never going to get away from the training room of 50 people. And Crestron's got wonderful solutions to help you out with that. But if we broke that down to percentages, let's say I'm speaking to a large bank. Let's say they have 400 rooms to do in the US. I'll bet my bottom dollar that 90% of those rooms are 8 people or less. Solid, state of the art, middle of the road in terms of bleeding edge technology. People, inclusive meeting, touch controller, one button to join, all of that. That other 10%, that's when we can start speaking to Crestron about some more bespoke solutions to tackle those trickier rooms.
Yeah, I think, as I say, it is the kind of 80-20. Everyone was, huddle rooms were the big thing, and I think that they're certainly that mid-sized room is now the kind of lead star of it. The kind of 1, 2, 3 person room, yeah, we're okay, we cover with that. Again, the big stuff, obviously Crestron does an amazing job of that. It's that mid-sized room, mid-space, as you say. The eight person room is the one that everyone should be going for at the moment. That's the one we can certainly spec up and give that better experience in those rooms. And again, I think for the bigger rooms, you've got great stuff like Microsoft Front Row, some of those 21:9 experiences that Microsoft are out there. But again, that 8-seater mid-sized room is the bread and butter, I think. Go and have a look at.
Yeah. And then, it's revolving around what's happening not in the office. And that's where Jabra are in a really great position to help people out with our best-in-class portfolio. We've got a load of different headsets, all for different use cases, all for different, jobs. There's call-centric ones, there's professional ones, in-ear, over-ear, on-ear, all of which are team certified, all of which
I think I've got most of them here. I think these are my favorite 85. My new which Richard dropped around the other day. I had the old ones. I haven't taken these out yet.
Yeah.
Yes,
not out. You're gonna love them.
Big fan of these for traveling as well, and a big fan of the. Where's my Engage? I've not got them on today, but Engage as well. Love a bit of decked action going on. So yes, big headset fan. Of course, we've got the Teams display, and I think again the idea of putting a Jabra headset with our Teams display as a Teams desktop device for audio or for home users, I think is another great use case. I know Mr. Tresler is a big fan of that. He's got one, and now paired it up to a Jabra headset. So again, another great use case where I think again everyone thinks of just Jabra and Crestron as the P50 bundle, but now we've got the Air Media, now we've got the headsets and the Teams display. I mean, there's so many cool things that the two companies are doing together.
Yeah, it's coming on really nicely. I think the iteration between the two businesses is fantastic. Lots of people that know each other, that work with each other for years, so we're finding these relationships super straightforward. We're both operating with very much an open book as well, and being very inclusive. So the relationship is certainly going from strength to strength. I know I'm excited to get out to ISE, where I'll be seeing you, Neil, and seeing how Crestron are approaching things from their end, while on their stand, while we're approaching things on our stand. And it's a great relationship, and we're very fortunate to be coexisting on that front together.
Fantastic.
Go on. Question from my end though.
Put me on the spot.
You asked me about the market and
yes.
What I'm seeing. What are you seeing? You interview 1 million people a week on this sort of stuff. What more rather than regurgitating, what do you think in your gut feeling of where it's going to go?
As someone who's always worked from home, it's funny. My partner says when we all kind of had to evacuate, or the companies all had to evacuate, he found it more difficult than I did because her life changed radically. Of having to homeschool and all that kind of stuff. Whereas for me, I used to walk upstairs to my home office. I now walk down the hallway to my home office. So nothing ever changed for me and adapted. I am hearing, and it's interesting. One of my good friends works for a large TV broadcaster. I won't say which one, but he was saying, yeah, we were allowed to do what we want to do. We're old enough and wise enough that we can kind of choose our own destiny about what we do. Interesting. I saw him at Christmas. I said, "Oh, how are things doing? You still working remote?" And he said, "No, they've now mandated that we go in. I think it was at least 1, if not 2 days a week, because what they were more worried about was losing the culture. They thought that by having people, again, great for flexibility. I pinged you last night and said I might be slightly late. I've got to go and do the school run. So for me, the flexibility of it is great. But I think the challenge is when you have those organisations that have that culture that they try and build. The classic one, was Facebook. They put this massive office in with the slides and the underground cars, and tried to build that kind of funky culture in the office. That if you haven't got people in the office and they're all just sitting at home on Teams or Zoom or other collaboration platform calls, you're not going to get that kind of funky culture. And that's what they were. That's what he said that they were more worried about. Wasn't productivity or anything else. Is they wanted to keep that kind of work culture as a broadcaster and bringing people together. So again, I thought that was interesting. That again they'd had that step change where it was kind of very loose and department by department saying, yeah, you can do what you want, but now they've changed. And interestingly, we at Crestron put together the Modern Work Summit. We had one in last year in Florida. We've got another one coming up this year in May. And again, we've got some industry leaders coming in to discuss this. Jabra will be there to discuss this, in more detail and help customers with regards to, what modern work looks like. And again, that blend between, some people that want to stay at home full time, the people that kind of want to go back in full time, and then the kind of, hate using the word, but hybrid in between, where they want to come back in. But I think, again, that whole kind of mandating is going to put people's noses out of joint, especially as I say, they've tasted the honey of, I don't have to commute every day. I can go and walk the dog that I've got in lockdown. And it gives me that flexibility. So an interesting one. You say about real estate though, because I'll just finish on that. I don't know. You say that there is going to be what are we going to do with all these empty offices?
What are we going to do with all the empty offices? What are we going to do with them? Honestly, I think the fallout of this is very real, and then we're starting to see it. I saw some Q3 results from a competitor of ours today that they put out because they're publicly traded, and numbers are down. Numbers are seeming to be down for everyone. We can't kid ourselves. This is having a cause and effect. We are in a recession, nearly in a recession, coming out of a recession. I don't know. Changes every day. I don't want to get involved in the politics of it, but the point being is this will have a huge domino effect and a downstream effect to what's going on. And I think that I was listening to big fan of Joe Rogan podcast, and they had a guy on talking about this for an hour or so the other day. And he was saying, and it was something, Holger Reitsinger did a wonderful presentation, one of our technology leaders here at Jabra. And one of the slides he pulled up is that the biggest kick in the teeth to people is to come into an office, to sit on the same Teams meetings, they were sitting on from the comfort of their own home,
It's
arguably in
genius.
better quality, but with their perfect setup that they're
Yeah.
enjoying. So I think the onus is on that. I think this is also going to sort the wheat from the chaff with some excellent management internally in businesses. I've got my team from all four corners of the US in the Cupertino office this week, and we are nose to tail with structured meetings, internal meetings, just getting that, as I say, the social equity of introducing my guys to the engineering team, my guys to some of the teams that are actually building the hardware here in Cupertino. And I think that's where the value can be bought. So I think managers or leaders of people really have to make it worth their while and make the juice worth the squeeze, to come into the office and have productive collaborative meetings and not just sit on your team's meeting.
Yeah, I mean, that is the bonkers thing. Again, we've all kind of spent a bit of time and effort putting our home setups together now. And yes, if you're just going to a different location, join a Teams call on a webcam on your laptop or P50 in a meeting room on your own, it doesn't really
seems a little counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, exactly. We could talk for hours on this, and I definitely want to get you back on, and we'll talk in more detail. A lot of interesting events coming up this year: Modern Work Summit, ISE, Infocom, Enterprise Connect, blah. So I definitely want to get you. And again, I'm sure that certainly both companies are going to have some innovations coming up that, and I'm sure, we're going to have new products coming out that we want to talk about as well. So we'll get you back on, Olly, but thank you for getting up early for joining us here on CresTV for the show. And where can people hook up with you? What's your, where do you hang out? So LinkedIn, Twitter, where are you?
LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. It's as Olly Henderson as it's written there, because I am Oliver, but the only person that calls me Oliver, Neil, is my mother when
you're in trouble. Yeah.
So,
I love it.
So Olly Henderson on LinkedIn. Would love to connect with anyone. Henderson@jabra.com is my corporate email. Ping me if you want to have a chat about anything, whether it's how to implement, how Jabra can help that, how the Crestron partnership's starting to work from our end. Any questions? We have a real open door policy. My team's magnificent. Super lucky to have them on. Neil, I also do some internal, external production, so might be great to have you on with my team from your perspective as well. And I think most of them anyway, so all technologists and all enjoy it.
Very cool.
But thank you for having me. It's been valuable.
Pleasure. Thanks again. Olly Henderson there from Jabra. Put in the did you say Jabra or Jabra? Tomato. Jabra. Tomato. He's still there. Thank you, Olly, for coming on, and thank you all for joining us on this episode of CresTV. We do this regularly. Where have you been? If you're not joined, subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell, ring the dinger, and tell your friends that CresTV is the place to be. And I'll catch you on the next one here on CresTV.